Welcome to She's Got This, the podcast for ambitious women who want to grow and scale their business and use the power of intentional energy direction to design their very best life. I'm your host, Christine Gallagher, award-winning business coach and mindset mentor to female entrepreneurs. If you're ready to own your brilliance while making bank, step into the absolute best version of you, and become a force for positive change in the world, you're in the right place. Let's do it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. You're listening to She's Got This. I'm your host, Christine Gallagher, and I'm so happy that you joined me today. Welcome. Today's episode is going to be fun. We're talking about whether you need to fake it till you make it in business and in life. And I wanted to look at this from a few different angles. First, as it relates to energy, frequency, and deliberately creating what you want. As I always say, 90% of your results come as a result of who you are being. Some refer to this as self-concept when they talk about it. Some may call this stepping into your power, stepping into being a leader, but mainly what it is your energy and your frequency, stepping into the energy and frequency of your highest self. So it's 90% that and 10% of the actual doing, which is important, don't get me wrong. But I have seen over and over that if you don't have the right foundation when you start the doing and start executing the strategy, then what you're doing with the 10% either won't work well, it won't work at all, or it won't be enough to sustain you. So the 90% and the 10% work together hand in hand. Now, when we say frequency, what is that? I always like to break this down. Your frequency is your vibration. It's the pattern of your energy. It's the sum of your thoughts, feelings, actions, mind, body, and spirit. So the bottom line is it's about how you are being when you show up and the energy that you emit and the energy that comes to you in response to that. So there's the non-physical part of you, your spirit, and how that is expressed in the real world through your mind, your body, your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So why is this so crucial? Because the energy that you emit into the field around you, which is around all of us, that energy you put into that creative substance has a direct impact on the opportunities that come to you and your ability to take fast action on those opportunities. We go into this in great detail in all of our programs. But when you embody the frequency of your highest and best self, it is law that you can only get mirrored back to you the perceptions and awareness that are in total resonance energetically. And so the reason you don't have what you want right now, and that includes with your offers and your clients and your programs or with anything, is because you're not seeing the opportunity to call it in. What it is you desire is already here. It already exists. It is done. But until you are in the vibration, your mind will not see it. When you embody the frequency of the thing that you are calling in, the field brings us these opportunities and we are actually able to see them and we will have the resources to accept them. The bottom line is you embody the energy and the frequency so you can see the opportunity and also take action on that opportunity. That is manifestation in a nutshell. I often talk about the law of assumption, which is a concept that involves creating what you want by believing that you already have it. But some people hear this and think that what it means is that you need to fake it till you make it or live in some sort of fantasy world. But here's the thing. Your work is done in imagination, not the 3D. You do not impress your new beliefs by acting as if, because that's basically playing pretend. Your imagination is the cause of your life. You can believe anything and ignore what your senses dictate. Imagination creates its own reality, and there is nothing that is impossible to imagine. When we talk about ignoring circumstances, it doesn't mean that you completely check out of your life and meditate or play pretend 24/7. Living in the end is about thinking from the end, not thinking of the end. For example, if you're wanting more money and you have 5 cents in your account, it doesn't mean pretending those 5 cents are really $50,000 and you go out and buy a bunch of expensive stuff. It has to do with where you are going in your mind, not with what you're doing every day in your life. Techniques for this are simply ways to get you into your desired state until having your desire feels natural. Once it feels natural to have that kind of money, it will start flowing in. So what does it mean when we say having a mental diet? It's basically another technique. If you have a big goal, at first it's natural for you to think about it all the time and typically default to anxious thoughts or lack. You might say, I want to make $100,000 a month. And then you go right to thoughts of, it isn't here yet, or wow, how could that ever be possible for me, being that right now I'm only at X place in my income? This is because your goal has a high emotional charge for you, which means you have put it on a pedestal. So what you can do is a mental diet for a period of time where you decide to not think about the goal at all, good or bad. This will decrease the emotional charge and take it off the pedestal. I can create absolutely anything I want to in my life, so that number is really not a big deal, and of course I can have that. So when you decide not to think about it and it pops up in your mind, replace those thoughts with confidence that it's already here. You just need to match up with it. This takes some practice, of course, because when the goal pops up in your head, the initial thought and feeling is one of disappointment or impatience that it's not your reality right now. So you would feel the disappointment and catch yourself and tell yourself things are rearranging right now for you to get your desire and stop thinking about it. Eventually, the gap of time between feeling the disappointment or impatience and the it's here, things are just being rearranged will decrease until the feeling goes away completely. And maybe it's replaced with smiling and nodding to yourself when you think of the goal. At that point, you can think about it more because you'll be more confident. This is being faithful to your version of reality. What's ultimately at the heart of this? Your self-concept. By changing your concept of yourself, you can interfere with your future and mold it to align with your changed concept of self. So then you might wonder, does this ability to change the future go against the idea that creation is finished? No, because by changing your concept of self, you change your relationship to things. If you rearrange the words of a play to write a different one, you haven't created new words, you've rearranged them. Your self-concept determines the order of events that you encounter. They are in the foundation of the world, but not their order of arrangement. Again, there is no one to change but self. Once you change how you see yourself and commit to that new self-concept, the world has no other choice but to rearrange itself around you. You don't have to wait for anyone else to deem you worthy. You are worthy of everything that you desire simply because you exist. You attract what you are. To receive what you want, shift your identity and how you see yourself first. This work requires confidence, and it's typically insecurity that causes us to put what we want on a pedestal. So take your focus off of seeing your desire on a pedestal and put the attention back onto you. What you want is not more special than you. What you want is not better than you. Know that you are the operant power and you are worthy of it always, whether that's an amount of money, a relationship, or anything else. It's so important to love yourself first. When I wanted to fortify that for myself, a couple of months ago, I started doing an I love myself meditation every morning, and I continue to do it every day now. It's part of my routine. It's short and sweet, only 7 minutes, but it anchors me into that energy of self-love and self-appreciation. And self-concept isn't only about your beliefs about yourself. It also applies to your thoughts about others. If your dominant belief is that other people treat you crappy, you're going to continue seeing and experiencing that. That's not to say you should let anyone treat you badly, but know that when you choose to see them differently, you will experience differently. If you don't like the circumstances in a certain area of your life, it's signaling to you that you need to change your mental diet. Everything that you could ever want is already here, and it's only waiting for you to match your beliefs to it. That is necessary so that your desires are brought into your reality. And if you have negative or intrusive thoughts show up, don't beat yourself up. You are human. Just remember the thoughts are temporary and fleeting, and use them as a cue to get back to where you need to be. Find the place within you and place yourself there as often as you can. Like anything, it's a habit that will begin to get easier and more automatic over time. One thing that helps me is going back to gratitude, whether that's listing off a few things in my head or writing them down. That's another way to anchor myself. Affirmations are great too. I keep a bunch of them on the Notes app on my phone. One that I love lately is I always end up getting what I want. Things have always worked out for me in the end. This is going to be no different. When you hear someone say the 3D doesn't matter or circumstances don't matter, what it means is that your state does not have to be dictated by your circumstances or how you feel. Ultimately, it's a practice of emotional mastery that starts from within. The world is a projection of yourself. If you want to project something different, you need to change your awareness. When you do that, the world conforms to how you've changed your thinking. Everything is a state of consciousness. This is where the law of attraction falls short, in my opinion. If you want something, you don't think about it to attract it. In fact, you don't attract it at all. You assume the state by changing your state of consciousness to the consciousness of having or being what it is that you want. If all of this sounds kind of unbelievable, then my biggest advice is always to test it. Test the law for yourself. And remember, it's not the techniques that do the work. It's the state that the techniques put you in. You have to test out which ones feel best for you. The other angle I want to talk about this from has to do with social media. There was a point long ago where I struggled with feeling like I needed to show up happy and positive all the time, especially in a world where everyone is seemingly documenting everything from morning till night. And I remember seeing something a friend on Facebook posted that was related to this. They said, if your definition of spiritual means that you must always be positive, I'm not interested in playing that game. And when I read that, it really made me pause because I myself have had those thoughts. Oh, I shouldn't post about this because I'm supposed to be positive, or I shouldn't post this because I'm supposed to be a spiritual person, or because people will maybe think I don't have my stuff together and then they won't want to take advice from me. So the person who posted that also said that they'd rather be seen as a full spectrum human than somebody who has one default, always cheerful persona. Full spectrum human. I just love that phrase. The truth is, opening up when things aren't so great for you, yes, even in social media, can actually be a beautiful teaching moment for your followers, your clients, and even for your friends. For one, it shows others that they are not alone and that they're not defective. If they've had bad days or they screwed something up or they're not happy 100% of the time, especially early on in my business, I was so grateful anytime somebody I viewed as a leader or an expert or a mentor would share about the hard times or the failures. People really do tend to think that there's something wrong with them when they compare themselves to everybody else's highlight reel. Two, it opens up the space to allow others to help you and to support you. Often we can be really pleasantly surprised to find out that others really do care and they can relate. But they don't always know that you're in need of support, of course, unless you express that. I have an in real life example of this. Years ago, I was at a mastermind retreat with about 75 colleagues in the room. I ended up at the front of the room in the hot seat to talk about struggles that come up for entrepreneurs in relationships and in marriage. Well, I ended up totally losing it in front of the entire room, ugly, crying, and everything. Because at that time, I was contemplating ending my marriage. There were a lot of emotions going on, and I was being very vulnerable. As mortified as I felt at first, the outpouring of love and support and understanding and compassion blew me away. Three, vulnerability and honesty leads to trust. And we all know that people hire us or buy something from us when they know, like, and trust us first. Letting people in to see that full spectrum you. You don't have to share every little thing, of course, but sharing more than just the happy, positive side of things 24/7 actually helps bond you to people. And time again, I have seen that this leads to stronger relationships and really good things in business. The last angle I want to talk about this from is when people say things like, look around in the world, so much seems like it's falling apart and there are really awful things going on. And yes, of course there are. It's not about putting blinders on and denying that. In fact, the term spiritual bypassing gets thrown around a lot when it comes to this, but that's maybe for another episode. Personally, I've long considered myself an activist, and there are many causes I care about and contribute to. To me, I believe we have to be willing to look at the dynamics that are already existing in the world. Inequality is real. The vast gap between the rich and the poor is real. Racism and discrimination is real. The way things are set up can be really unfair. And I still believe every one of us is powerful and meant to be great. For some of us, it may take more deliberate inner work than for some others. What's important for me, so much so that I do it for a living, is amplifying the work of change makers, the leaders who create incredible, transformative results for their clients. And by amplifying that work, we get more money into the hands of good-hearted women who want to do more good in the world. I believe more money and more resources in the hands of good-hearted people creates a ripple effect that changes the world. I want my clients, and all women especially, to be empowered financially because good-hearted people do good things with their money. Money is a resource. And my feeling is, if you see yourself as a world changer, a change maker who's here to create a better world through your work, and you know you're here to lead and serve, then you're helping to elevate consciousness on the planet. And that makes the world work better for all of us. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or share it with someone else who would find it helpful. To stay connected with me, please visit she'sgotclients.com and sign up for my email list at the bottom of the page. Or feel free to share this episode on your Instagram and tag me at Christine G, and I'll repost you. I would love to share this with as many people as possible. I love you. Until next time, keep shining your light.